Hey, Tom here, FlipAnythingUSA. So I'm actually in my new studio, so I expect some bugs and things. So if there's an echo, and I know there probably is a little bit, I'm not picking it up here. But if there's any issues at all, let me know what they are. And I'm trying to fine-tune things here. If you're just a first-time visitor here, FlipAnythingUSA is the channel. My name's Tom McKay. I share how I've been investing in real estate for the last 41 years. I've made a lot of money at it, and I have a book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. It's been a bestseller on Amazon, Kindle, and Audible. You can get that for 10 to 20 bucks, depending on what format you get it in. And today I thought we'd talk about, the values are dropping. We can jump around here a little bit. Is the feed being interrupted, Ali? Can you tell me? Because I'm getting some weird messaging here. I got your question twice. Elmoj, Ali, is it a good strategy to sell the property right after refinancing it? Yeah, it just depends if you want to keep it or not. I mean, there's no sense to refinance it if you're going to sell it, right? Why would you refi it if you're going to sell it? Oh, I do keep cutting off. Yeah, that's what I'm getting here. So we'll see. Well, maybe we'll get lucky here for a while. It says excellent connection, so, but again, I'm dialing it in. Listen, it costs money to refinance. A lot of people don't realize when you go to refinance property, you have to get in the first year is going to be a wash. So a lot of times, change the bit rate, I doubt it. And now we're back again, I guess. What I was going to show you, and I don't even know if it's worth taking the time to do it now, because we keep, like I say, this is a new studio. Looks like I may need to see if I can, let's see. Well, here, let me just show you. Inside the members area, if you get in the mentorship, I have an area called calculators. And so these calculators here, these are simple things, but this just kind of simplifies it and makes it easy. If you're doing a straight interest only, this is a calculator for giving your figures on, interest only. And then if you're going to do, I'm sorry, that one, fixed rate, that's a fixed rate. So if you have a fixed rate, it'll give you, your principal and your principal and interest, broke out separately. Full amortization schedules on all this stuff. And then a deal calculator. This is a way of just kind of seeing how much money's in it for you. And then this is actually one that's just a typical one, but this one, this is a mortgage calculator that. This is one that I just robbed off the web that you can also dial into. But these are more specific. I've got a deal calculator, a fixed rate, and an interest rate only calculator. These are handy. It's always good to play with the numbers. A lot of people don't realize there's so much money to be made if you just understand the numbers. I had a property I was buying. In fact, hey, Russ, glad you're in here. Russ, I hadn't finished your video yet. I started to write you a little while ago. And but I'm going to finish it. I appreciate that. Ecclesiastes. I'm going to take a look at that. And I started it, but it looked like it was longer than I had time to look at. But is there anything anybody wants to look at? We're testing out the new studio Russ and Barry. So things are cutting out here and there, but people seem to be dealing with it. I wanted to show you, let me get back to, let's go back to Google Earth. So playing with the numbers, actually this is the perfect property to talk to you about this. This is an apartment building, and I was buying this from a UT professor, and his wife was stuck on here in $400,000, which is a super steal. This is like 20-something years ago. It was a steal then. But now it's worth probably, I don't know, a lot. Oh, yeah, huh. Hey, well, assuming you can still see me here, Barry says he saw Grant Cardone responding to his detractors, and he was bragging that he returned $40 million to his investors in 7 months. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the particulars. I saw something recently that says he was marking properties up anywhere from 15 to 18%. So he was marking. In other words, he was buying and then he was selling it to his investors that he's buying it with again, and that's a no-no. And that's probably going to get him in some trouble. Ethan wrote, do you think estimates of housing building value in the major websites are accurate? I don't use them. I wouldn't use them. I mean, you can kind of do it yourself. If you it just takes basic math. You can figure out how much sheetrock you need and what it costs. That sort of thing. I don't know. I wouldn't trust it. No, I wouldn't trust any calculator. I trust my own calculator, not anybody else's. You can't just punch in and let somebody else do the figures for you. Believe me, there's people that, if they're smart, when as a contractor, I'm a contractor too. I only work on my own stuff now, but when you go to give somebody a figure, a bid, if it's not going to start, you usually have, you have a disclosure there, a line to cover your ass that basically says, this is subject to, values, merchandise, cost going up, cost of goods, because lumber changes, and there's been some wild fluctuations during this pandemic. So there's people that really lost their ass. There's people finishing houses, and they were just waiting for an excuse to boot their seller. I'm talking about some of the track homes and things. The people were griping. If they were griping too much, they'd say, "Here, we'll just give you your money back." They wanted them to walk because the values had gone up so much, and it was becoming so expensive to build on top of it all. So it was getting really, really difficult. And I apologize. Yeah, I can see the stream rate is bad. If the next time it gets shaky, I'll probably just dump it. So Ethan, for sure not. But like I say, this building behind me right here, this one I paid $400,000. I sold it for $560,000, and then I let somebody else assume the financing that I put in place because I actually got it owner financed. And once I did it, I picked up another $30,000 on the owner financing that I'd put in place. So technically, I sold it for $595,000, and so I made $195,000 on this thing in maybe 6 months, and it was a good deal. And I bought the building next door. This another place I bought next door. I made about $600,000-700,000 on that, and across the street, I bought this big yellow place. This is 21 units, and that one I made about $50,000 a unit. Sold it for $55,000. I paid $10,000, so I made $45,000 a unit net. But any other questions? Anybody else got anything going? Russ, we'll go live tomorrow. I'm going to try to go live in the studio. We'll see how it works. But I was hoping we could do a Zoom live with the public here, with some of the students, and going to look forward to doing that next week. I was hoping I could do it today, but it's just not going to happen. Anyways, anybody got anything they want to look at? Hey, while you're here, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Subscribe button is the one that really matters, so if you can hit that subscribe button, I'd appreciate it. If anybody's got any questions on anything, Barry, what have you been up to? You've been buying anything? Have you bought any real estate in the last year or two? Well, I'll tell you what. So I've been looking at LoopNet, and I've been seeing some property values drop, and we can go look in any particular area. Let's go ahead and look in California, Sacramento. Let's look in Sacramento. I like Sacramento. I love Northern California. One of my students in that area, he's been actually doing quite well. So, it's the return. You got to look at the numbers. The returns are, people are starting to, we're seeing, some people actually have actually raised their prices since the interest rates went up. I don't know what they're thinking. I think it's going to go up. Russ asked, he said, how high do you think the Fed will raise rates? Because I've been doing it so long, Russ, I wouldn't doubt if the rates go up to 8%. 8 to us. The Fed, I think, could go up to 5 or 6. I don't know why not. I really don't know why not. They've been that high before. People that are new into real estate, or they've only been in it for like 10 years or 15 years or so, or 20 years, they haven't seen how high rates can be. They haven't seen, 12%, 10%, or 14%. I started in 14, and it was coming down from 16. And so, I don't doubt that things could go much higher. In a way, it would be nice for people that are sitting on cash. They could live on their cash. You think of the disparity of, you got somebody that's on, just say somebody that's on welfare, getting $2,000 a month, because I got 4 kids or whatever, and then you got some old guy that, some couple that saved $2 million over their lifetime, just scrimping and clawing for every dime and saving it, and they're getting 1% on their $2 million that they have in the bank, so they're getting less than somebody that's on welfare that hasn't even pitched in. So these are the kinds of things that these kind of disparities are not good. Barry wrote, Kathy Wood said she sees inflation has peaked and will be dropping back to 3% in 6 to 9 months. Well, you're talking about inflation. You're not talking about the interest rate, Barry, right? You're just talking about the inflation. 3% is actually pretty hefty. The CPI, we call it, it just seems like it's been about between 1.5 and 2.4 for the last 7 years. I have those adjustments on my lease. I raise rents based on the CPI, the inflation. And Ethan wrote, I don't know if you've seen Reventure Consulting YouTube channel, but he's always going over real estate data, and every video says we're in a crash. I went back and he said the same thing last year. Yeah, I know. Listen, I mean, and I don't know Reventure, but I think it's another young guy. And I don't know. Listen, he can go through all the historical data he wants. It's not quite the same as actually living it. If you ever go into the house of somebody in their 80s that have actually, or 85, 90s, that actually have lived through the Depression, you'll see they're like hoarders. They don't want to throw away anything because they actually live, they know how precious everything is. And, to a degree, there's a lot of things that I used to throw away that I'm hanging on to. And I'm talking about doors and door jambs and copper and, copper lines and faucets and valves and, supply lines and stops. If you know what stops are, underneath the sinks for cutting off, your water supplies. I like the old stuff. The old stuff's so much better made. The new stuff's plastic and it's crap. And it does break. You go to turn your water off and it breaks, okay, because you haven't used it in 7 years. But yeah, if inflation comes down, then the rates might follow. Yeah, I don't think so, Barry. I think. Listen, anything that saves us money is good to that degree, but to be honest, if the